Hello, everyone. We're about to go live. This is YouTube Live. I'm David Scott Peters of the restaurantexpert.com. And you're on today's webinar if you're looking to hold your management team accountable. The secrets to holding your management team accountable. We're going to get started here in about 2 minutes. We'll do a little housekeeping first. First of all, I've got Greg Sauerback, my solutions coach, on the line with us, meaning in the chat. So there's a chat window with this YouTube Live thing that you can make comments and so on. But I've learned over the last few months that you've got to be logged into your YouTube account if you want to use the chat. Okay? So if you want to use the chat feature, you want to participate and ask questions, make sure you log in to your YouTube account, and then you'll be able to participate. Now, with that said, what I'm hoping is if you tell me who you are, name of your restaurant, and what you're hoping to gain from today's webinar. We've got a lot to cover. It's actually going to be a pretty hefty, meaty webinar full of information, step by step, on how to hold your management team accountable. Things that you can go home right away and make an impact in your business and hopefully get your life back, right? Make sure you have people know what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. Also, I want to make sure, if maybe this is your first visit with me, I want you to click on the subscribe now. Let me put the do not disturb button on here. That's the fun part about live here. So I want you to again, subscribe now, because on a weekly basis, we're going to be uploading tips and tricks, and we'll have other videos, much like webinars as well, that you can be notified for and you can see. So again, let me know who you are, name of your restaurant, and where you're from, and what you're hoping to gain from today. That'd be awesome. Greg Sauerback, again, is my solutions coach. He's going to be monitoring the chat because I'm kind of 30 seconds ahead of you. But he's also going to take any of the questions you have and filter them to me on another device, so that when it gets to the end of the presentation, I'll answer that. So here's kind of the flow. I'm going to teach for quite a bit. For those of you who want to stick around, I'm going to show you the solutions to everything I'm teaching you right afterwards. But again, at the very end, I'm going to answer any questions you may have. So I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. Again, those of you who are joining right now, I'm David Scott Peters with the restaurantexpert.com. I'm the founder. And today's webinar is the secrets to holding your management team accountable. Okay? This is really about never letting your managers fail. It's important. So to get started, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up in my family's restaurant and catering business back in Lindman, New Jersey, where I worked for the toughest manager I know. Has anybody on this call ever worked for your mom? Then you know it sucked, right? I hated every minute of it. Really, why? Because my mother rode my sister and I twice as hard as anybody else. She said there'd be no favoritism. Now, while I hated that as a kid, a teenager, right? She did me a favor, because every job I had afterwards, I elevated faster than anybody else. I had a work ethic like nobody else, so she really did me a favor. Now, I took those skill sets, worked for a company called Coyote Springs Brewing Company Cafe here in Phoenix, Arizona, where our first location was a cash cow. Hand over fist money. It was unbelievable. Our second location was much like owning a boat, a hole in water in which you throw money. I elevated from bartender, bar manager, all the way through to an operations manager, and we had the 2 stores were going gangbusters. The unfortunate reality is our second location created challenges that really hurt us. And this is why I'm different than a lot of chain managers. I've never worked as a manager in a chain. I've come up from the independents. And so every mistake we made cost us money. What I had to learn is how to avoid those mistakes. And that was my proving ground. That was my education, if you will. Now, when I left them, I went to work for a company called Famous Sam's, a 30-unit restaurant sports bar chain here in the Arizona, I should say, as a franchisor. We had 30 locations. We're opening up stores. I had an operations team. We're going gangbusters. Next thing you know, in about a year's time, the guys who bought the company wanted to take it public, damn near bankrupted it. Well, saw the writing on the wall. So I left and went and taught at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, management, human resources, wines and spirits. I'm not a chef. So my chef types on this call, if we ever got in a conversation about product quality, I'm not your guy, because I can't cook. I have terrible knife skills. But you know what? I can run any one of your kitchens with the right systems in place. I can order based on par levels. I can schedule based on staffing guides and budgets. I can prep based on par levels. I can do everything in the place with the exception of teach somebody how to cook. So it's really important that we have those systems and processes in place. Now, while I was teaching at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, I was also consulting. And the minority shareholders in the beginning of Famous Sam's, when they became the majority shareholders and bailed out the company, asked me to come back. I kept saying no, 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 and that was about 1 month before my first child was born. I said, okay. I walked into a disaster. Company should have been bankrupt, done. Yet I was given the goal to turn the company around and sell it in 5 years. Do you know what? I missed that goal by 3 months. I know what it is to be an independent operator. I know what makes the chain successful. It's my job to give you the same systems and tools that chains use without losing your independence. We love our guests. We love our employees, but we are going to do what they do well. What is that? Make money. So sometimes people see me coming. Managers go, oh my gosh, you're going to make us corporate. I don't know what the hell that is. Is that cold and sterile? I got news for you. You have the same ADD restaurant owner, social worker working in your business right now. They still own the place. But we are going to ask people to do more. We are going to raise the bar. We are going to follow the same systems and tools, the processes that the chains use to ensure we run profitably. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter how good your restaurant is if you close. There is no restaurant for your guests. There are no jobs for your employees, and there's no livelihood for you and your family. So we have to change our mindset and said we have a responsibility to run profitably. Now, when I was at Kaido Springs and I worked my way out of all these challenges, that's where I created what I call my restaurant operational smart systems. Those are restaurant systems that are simple, measurable, applicable, repeatable, trainable. And the key with any system, it has to be simple or nobody's going to use it, has to be trainable or you can't get anybody to use it. Now, what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about why company culture is so important to getting things done. Your way, by the way. How to clearly define expectations for your management team. A 2-step process to overcome a nasty disease called commonsense-it-is. You're suffering from it, I guarantee it. And then I'm going to give you a recipe for success on how you can delegate and hold your managers accountable. Isn't that why we're on this call? And again, for those of you who are joining in late, if you've logged into your YouTube account, you can use the chat function, and Greg Sauerback is on the line, and he will gather your questions, answer them for you, or gather them for me at the end of the presentation. I will answer them for you. So make sure, why are you here on this call? Do me a favor and type in the chat box why you're on this call so we can make sure we cover what you need. Now, systems are very important. Why are systems so important? Well, there are 3 skill sets you must have to be successful in the restaurant business. This is what I believe. The first skill set is your qualitative skills. That's your gut feel. It's Tom Peters, no relation to me, management guru in the early 90s, wrote many, many management books, and one of the things he called it was management by wandering around. You know your business because you walk the circle. In the restaurant business, it means we place the order, we check it in, we seat the guests, we bring their food, we schedule the employees, we manage the employee, right? You're imposing your will by being there. Because you walk that circle, you see what you want done. If it's not done right, you impose your will and you fix it right then and there. Problem is, we as independent operators often use our gut and our bank account, and that gets us in trouble. Then we learn about the number side, the quantitative skills, right? These are the number side, budgets and food cost and labor cost targets and all these things. The problem is you go see somebody like me at a food show, and I speak all over the country, in fact, the world. And I hear speakers quote the National Restaurant Association and say, the NRA says that the average food cost for a full-service restaurant is 34%. And you go home to your chef and you say, Chef, 34%. Who the hell said that was your number? What if based on what your customers actually purchase in your up-to-date, accurate recipe costing cards, your food cost should be 38%? The only way he or she can make bonus or keep their job is to cheat the guest. You have to know your numbers. So really important to know our numbers, and that's a part of the systems process. Last but not least, you need solid training. Doesn't matter what you know how to do. If you can't get others to do it for you and you can follow up on it, you lose. Because, you know, that phrase, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Well, that's BS, man. There are not enough hours in the day to do everything I'm going to teach you. That's a part of today's webinar. Let me be very, very clear. A part of today's webinar is making sure you understand you can't do it all. Let me be very clear. My company is called therestaurantexpert.com. I got to have stones, man, right? Well, the realization is Restaurant Expert was always already taken 13 years ago when I started my company for a URL. But therestaurantexpert.com, you got to have confidence. Oh, by the way, I've got confidence. That's not an issue. But here's what I want to tell you. As confident as I am being the expert and all, I'll tell you this. I couldn't do everything I teach you at the same time. Neither can you, meaning you need help in your restaurant. This webinar is about how do I have others help me and not waste money. How often have you hired a manager and said, oh, if I hire this manager, I'm going to be more profitable and I'll get more done. And instead, you're less profitable and nothing happens. Instead, you babysit them because you don't have the right systems processed. You don't train them. So again, got to have the qualitative start, that gut feel. Nothing replaces your experience. Got to have the quantifiable stuff. That's the numbers we can talk about. But you got to be able to train. And then the rest of today is talk about follow-up. Now, what's the next step? What do systems provide me? Well, systems provide me a lot of stuff. Number one, they provide me quantifiable goals. If I've got a budget, I'll tell people, if you see me speak, two most important things any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe costing cards. What are the two things most independents never have? Budgets, recipe cards. Like you're freaking kidding me, right? You're in the toughest business I know, but you don't know what your numbers are? What do you use? Industry standards? I just told you those are no good. So I've got to have a budget for my business. And if I have a budget, I've got quantifiable goals, the numbers I need to achieve. And though, by the way, then I know what systems to put in place. And if I know what systems I need to put in place to achieve those numbers, I have trainable results. Because that system, there's a system, a process, a way to doing anything, which means I can teach you a step-by-step way to get things done my way. Whose way? Your way, owners. And last but not least, what I love about systems is they take the personalities out. I don't care if you're a bully manager. Actually, I do care. I think you should be beaten at the stake. We don't need bullies in our business, but we have them. I don't care if you're a jellyfish. What is a jellyfish? Jellyfish is that new manager, that line employee you promoted, talked them into becoming a manager, right? And they're still puking their buddy's car who they used to bartend with the night before and want them to respect them the next day. That doesn't work anymore. Right? I call them jellyfish because they need to crystallize a spine. I hope you're a head coach. I hope you're Sally Q mentor, right? You understand all the rules, and they were written by you, but for everyone to follow, including yourself. You know how to do everybody's job, but the difference is between the bully, there's the door, don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out, is you need people. Like you can't do everybody's job at the same time. I don't care where you're on that spectrum. I hope you're a head coach. But the realization is this: you either did the job or you didn't. See, with the right systems in place, I teach you what your job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. Then I can inspect that, meaning I can follow up and see that you did it or you didn't. You either took inventory or you didn't. You filled out the manager checklist or you didn't. You filled out the manager log or you didn't. You ordered on budget or you didn't. You scheduled on budget or you didn't. Do you see what I'm saying? There's one way to do things your way. There's a system, a process, a way. And now I take all personalities out. If I've trained you on the job, I know you know how to do the job. You've demonstrated it. You either done the job, you did the job, or you didn't. So by the end of today, I'm going to change that word of accountability, right? When you hear accountable, I'll hold you accountable. We're going to turn that around to answerable. So hold that in the back of your brain. By the time I finish today, I'm taking the negative accountability and turning it into answerable. The managers will be answerable for what they did or did not do because you trained them. Now, where do we go from here? Well, many of you who may have followed me over the decade plus may know I used to be an improv comic. I'm an equal offender, right? I don't do stand-up. Don't get me wrong. I don't do stand-up. I always wish I could have done, never done it. And what is the deal? Well, I'm an improv comic, or used to be. And that's the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? Have you ever seen that on TV where they get on stage and they have a prop or they grab a line out and they're in a space and they kind of say, here's where you are, here are the characters, go, until they get a laugh. Well, that's what I did. I do voices. I'm an equal offender. I don't care if there's a sexual preference, a disability, a nationality, you name it, I'm voices. I equally offend everyone. But I used to do that, and it was a blast. When I did so, I loved it. I was a bar manager at the time, and I still had weekends to do this, and I was on stage loving it. Well, I had one standing ovation. Like, I don't know. I've never done crack, but I can only imagine that that first hit gets you to come back over and over again. I wanted that standing O. It was unbelievable. I had laughter. I had groans. A groan is as good as a laugh. But I've also had one time dead silence where you want to die. Now, think about it. Improv comedy is off the cuff. You're in the moment. You invent what's going on. There are rules. Well, here's the deal. Did you know there are rules to improv comedy? Meaning there's a system, a process, a way to each one of these, what we called games. So for instance, if I said that's a great red hat and you said, no, it's blue, we start all over. So we learn in improv comedy that if I say it's a great red hat, you say, fantastic. Did you see the picture of your mother on the front? Right? I don't care what it is. We build upon it. And we practiced. And people would say to me, what do you mean you have practice? How do you rehearse something that's off the cuff? Especially when you think about improv comedy is off the cuff, because here's the deal. As I think it's one of the most creative forms of comedy there is, here's the realization. Without the system process away, guiding us towards laughter, we'd never get there. So think about it. The restaurant business. Let me do this. I want to look you in the eye. The restaurant business. I already had it there. The restaurant business is what? The most creative business I know. You grab food, put love and care into it, put it out there. You put out the best experience. You put an atmosphere. You want people, you want to create memories. Is there anything more creative than the restaurant business? I say no. But without a system, a process, a way for doing everything, right? What does that do? A system, process, way takes you, channels all that creativity to success. Happy guests, right? Happy guests, happy employees, and a profitable business. And that's why we've got to have systems. It's extremely important that we do that. Now, let's move on. What are we going to cover now? We're going to go through 4 sections: defining your standards, cultivating your culture, enforcing company standards, and holding your people accountable. That's the process we're going to go through right now. Now, commonsense-it-is. Do you suffer? It's an ugly, ugly disease. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're sick, full of it. What is commonsense-it-is? It's that never-ending headache of repeatedly banging your head against the brick wall until blood runs down it, right? Every time you enter the business. Here's commonsense-it-is. Who's the idiot that put that trash can there? Do you ever find yourself calling your employees idiots? I got news for you. Wait a second. If your employees are idiots, I want you to think about something. Who selected them? Who hired them? Who trained them? Who managed them on a daily basis? You do. So the definition of insanity, Albert Einstein says, doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. I ask you, how's it working for you? Right? You don't have the right systems in place. You take good people, make them bad. You think they should have common sense. You think a 16-year-old in the dish pit who's on crack should have common sense? Like, you're kidding me, right? Bottom line is, we've got to correct that. How do I correct commonsense-it-is, if you will? Well, 2-step cure. Number 1, train and define your standards. Number 2, got to hold people accountable to those standards. And that's what we're going to follow through right now. So do understand this. There's no system too big and there's no system too small. Meaning I could go into dollars per labor hour on the high side and look at efficiencies in my business, or I got to have a system as simple as counting out a bar drawer the same way every single time. Just so we're clear, there's only one way to do something in my business, my way, right or wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I want my employees' input. The people who know their job the best are the people who stand in those shoes and walk in them for 6-8 hours a day. But here's the deal. I run a democratic dictatorship. It means I want everybody's input, but guess what? It's going to be done my way. So you need a system for everything, and you need to understand they can never be too detailed. You've got to be clear. Now, it starts with Restaurant 101. Restaurant 101. What is Restaurant 101? Restaurant 101 is hot food hot, cold food cold, clean, safe work environment for guest employees, wow customer service, great food. We were put on this earth to provide our guests the greatest hospitality experience. I don't care if you're fast food or you're fine dining, whether you're quick serve or full service, we create memories. And so it starts with Restaurant 101. And here's the deal. Everything I teach, the system sides don't matter if you don't have a great restaurant. Right? If I don't put out great food, put out a great experience, place is clean, I got happy customers, happy employees, who cares? Now, what happens if I've got those done? Well, I'm still not in systems ready because the basis of all my systems are these next two. I've got to have checklists and cash controls. Checklists, we're going to cover in just a second. We're going to create a culture where the details matter. Cash controls to make sure every penny makes it into my bank. There's no rounding up, rounding down BS. There's no cash drawer where we take change and make the bar drawer balance. No, what are my overshorts? If I'm server banking, they're either even or over. I'm not a bank, I ain't making change, and you are not shorting me. And bar, $5 over under per set of hands, otherwise I'm writing you up. And eventually you lose your job because it's part of the job is to know how to count properly, right? But here's the deal. If I don't have Restaurant 101 taken care of, there's no business. I have that taken care of. The next is checklists and cash controls to create a culture where the details matter. Then we follow up on the big systems. So let's focus on our checklists right now. Checklists are the foundation to all of the systems. Okay? I'm going to be very, very clear. Our checklists are the foundations of all of our systems. Now, I want you to start this process. Understand your checklist cannot be too detailed. And there are some of you on this webinar right now that are already thinking, and I can see it, right? There's 3 managers were made to watch us sitting at their desk like this going, bullshit, man. We got checklists. They suck. They don't work. Bullshit. They work. Your checklists don't work because they suck. I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen it over and over again. What does it say? Stock silverware? How many? Is it for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Is there different par levels? Do you say specifics? Are you clear? You've got to make sure they're detailed. And I'm going to show you examples of that in a second. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to forget you have any checklist because you know yours suck. They don't work. So I want you to grab a blank checklist and I'm going to give it to your best employee and ask him to fill it out in each position. So in the restaurant business, bar business, I should say, which I've grown up in, we've got a day bartender. Stereotypically happens to be female. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say something none of you can say because I don't have a bar and it's not legal to say. You have to hire and make available shifts to the most qualified person. But I'm going to tell you as experience, when I was a bartender, I worked the day shift, I made $50. When Johnny, long blonde hair, lots of assets, she make $100, $150. Same lunch shift. Why? Women make money at lunch, men don't. You can't say that. I can. I don't ever want to hear it out of your mouth. You hire the most qualified person and give everybody the opportunity, if they're qualified, to work that shift. Well, Johnny was known as the bitch of the bar. Why? When you'd walk in the morning, Johnny, what you would do? The nighttime crew were pigs. They didn't wipe down bottles. They didn't do spouts. They didn't leave me lemons. They didn't leave me lime. Just bitching and bitching. Problem is, you know what? She was right. She was right. Managers let employees go home without doing their work. And so all of a sudden, Johnny is like the janitor, the prep cook, if you will, for the bar. I hand Johnny a blank checklist. Say, fill it out your way, the way you want this bar set up and left for you in the morning. Oh my gosh. She's like, she grabs that crayon and she starts scribbling down, right? Oh, I get to tell people what I want done? Yes, you do, Johnny, because Johnny knows that job best. Now, when she's done with that, guess what? We're going to take another good employee, give them another blank checklist, and they're going to fill it out with their crayon. What's the next step? The next step is huge, right? I want you, managers and owners, if you're going to do this, and this really should be done by the owner and or the GM together. I want you to grab a yellow pad of paper, a pen, and I want you to walk your business on the outside. I want you to look through the shrubs, the gum on the ground, light bulbs out. I want you to walk the outside of your building. I want you to walk inside every nook and cranny, including the mop sink. Everywhere, bathrooms, under counters, I want you to look everywhere, and I want you to write down everything that pisses you off. Now, promise me you won't talk to a human being. Because I'm asking you to go get pissed off. I'm asking you to walk through your business and find all those things that piss you off. Now, what you do is you grab all these things and you write it down. And you're angry, don't talk to people. The next step is you take your old checklists. You take all the stuff that pisses you off. You take your two new checklists from your line employees. You hand it all to your manager and say, put it all together. Because what happens now? Combine them all. I now have a checklist for everything gets done. Opening and closing side work for every position. Now, what's the benefit of this? I want you to do this. I want you to think about this. When your manager walks in the door and things aren't done. So for instance, let's kind of go backwards. Let's go all the way back. Whole point of where I'm about to go is I want you to think about having a culture of close to open in your business. Close to open. What does that mean? Managers leave each shift 100% ready for the next manager to open. Meaning we trust each other. We've got each other's back. So typically in a bar, restaurant atmosphere, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. All the side work's been done. How do we know? Well, we have a senior server. Senior server initials everybody's checkout, their server report that side work was done. At the end of the night, the last person in is the senior server. Somebody's been there longer, doesn't get paid more, just the last one there. And we ask, hey, was all the side work done? Server says, yeah, man, side work's done. Say, great, have a good night. Finish out the bar drawer, put it away, close down the restaurant, and you start walking by, oh shit. They didn't clean the mop sink. Damn it, they didn't stock that. Crap, there's still a bus tub out. And what does the manager do? Walk out the door and lock it. Manager walks in the morning, all ready, prepped and ready, let's go, opens the door and says, crap, bus tub. Shit, that wasn't done. That wasn't done. By the time my good friend Darren Dennington of Service Style says, by the time somebody finds 3, they go looking for 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm pissed off. And oh, by the way, I'm behind. As the opening manager, I am closing the restaurant first and then opening it. You create chaos in the business. So I never want to do that. And in fact, a lot of managers, when I go on consults, I'll hear how side work wasn't done. I'll say, hey man, what'd you do about it? And they'll tell me they wrote up the line employee. I said, wrong. You wrote up the wrong person. Why do I have managers in the first place? To ensure everything gets done, right? So I would have written up the manager. See, what needs to happen is when that senior server comes in and the manager says, everything done? What's that manager supposed to now say? Ready? Great. Show me. It's one of the steps in accountability I'm going to talk about later today. Great, show me. There's no conflict or confrontation, but you got to get up off your ass, walk out and look and go, oh, that wasn't stocked right. That's not clean. ... Which means senior server, guess what? You got to do the work. Guess who is not going to let a line employee, another server, ever leave a shift without their side work being completely done? I'm ready to be checked out. Senior server walks over. No, that's not clean. That needs to be stocked. Because why? Why? They don't want to do their work. See, if we hold the right person accountable at the top, accountability starts all the way down. We make sure things get done. So stop writing up your line employees. When I have the right checklist in place, I know exactly what's supposed to get done. I have a culture of close to open. Each shift gets left so that the next shift is 100% ready to go. That's huge. Checklists are part of that. Now, remember this. Your checklists are never finished. There will always be something you find. But look, if I've got detailed, clear checklists for every position, opening and closing, death to the frickin' cleaning party. I was just visiting a member last week, and they talked about how they were bringing people in to have a cleaning party. I bust on this all day long. I was guilty of it. You let your damn restaurant fall into shambles slowly to a point where it's disgusting, and you got to bring all your employees in, pay them minimum wage, and clean the damn place. What is wrong with this picture? See, if I've got the right checklist in place, you have one last cleaning party ever, because that restaurant is left in your tip-top condition every single day because it's your damn standard, and there's a manager ensuring that standard is met on a daily basis. That's what checklists do. And you're going to tell me, oh, but my checklists, they don't work because they suck. And I'm going to show you why in a second. But understand this, do not print it off and laminate the damn thing and give them a grease pencil. That's not a checklist. Print out a checklist today. For today, opening and closing. And when you walk into the business, find something that bothers you, you hand it to the manager, they put it on the right checklist, and tomorrow it gets printed off with the right thing to be done. See, you'll never be pissed off because the place is a shambles. Because a manager, when you hold them accountable to that checklist, guess what? You ensure the process is working, we have closed the open culture, and it gets done your way. And we never need another cleaning party ever again. Does that make sense? Now let's talk about, let's look at why I say your checklists don't work. Well, here's a blank checklist. Oh, it's got manager initials, employee initials. It's got time. It's got what needs to be done. Task. This is blank. This is what we're going to hand to that employee to have it done. Well, here's your checklist, right? It says tables angled properly. What the hell does that mean? If you want a table at a 45 degrees and right up against the wall, get a damn 45 degree, put it on the table, between the table and the wall. If you want it 4 inches away from the wall, give them a damn ruler. I'm dead serious. What the hell does that mean? Appetizers placed stocked in server area. Okay, I put 5 plates up. Well, tomorrow's a Sunday brunch and we need 35 plates minimum. But I stocked it. It was empty. I put 5 plates. That's all it was clean. Does that make sense? That needs to say how many. How many iced teaspoons need to be stocked? What kind of, how many trays of butter, right? Be very, very clear. Now, here's the deal. Checklists, again, you think, oh, it's stupid. It's common sense. Why the hell do I need a checklist? And mine don't work. Because yours, like this one I just showed you, aren't detailed enough. Now, look, I travel a lot. I'm literally on the road monthly, sometimes 4 weeks out of the month, on and off, giving presentations all over, or even consulting. Now, with that said, I'm not home a lot. And my wife, who is the sweetest person in the world, she gets frustrated because as my kids were preteens, now they're teenagers, but think back when they preteens, she's good cop and bad cop. And one day I get a call and it's, your children, I'm asking them to clean the room. I've been nagging them for the last 5 hours. And I shouldn't have to do that, da, 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 da. And I say, Sue, my wife's name, Sue, we need checklists. My children don't need checklists. I said, so you don't understand, they're restaurant employees. They need a checklist. Well, this conversation happens on and off as I travel. And finally, one day I'm at home in my home office. I'm working on the computer. I'm really focused. And I don't know how many of you are partners with your business partners with your spouse, like I am. I look up. She's standing in the doorway. And I have this terrible thing. I'm focused. And I shoot her the, what the hell do you want look? I don't know that I do it, but I do it, right? Are you my business partner or are you my wife at this moment? Because I'm at my home office. I'm in my house. Well, she's got her hands on her hips and she's pissed. I'm like, what's up, Sue? She goes, you go deal with him. What do you mean? I told your son that you would be upstairs to check him out. I asked him to clean his bathroom. Well, at this point, I'm not saying a damn word. So I walk my happy little ass up the stairs. Hey, Tyler, what's going on, buddy? Now, he's a preteen at this time. Mom asked me to clean the bathroom. I say, great. And she said, you'd check me out. Okay. I look at the sink. Sink looks good. Look up. Toothpaste spit on 2 mirrors. Oh, my goodness. Buddy, what about this? I look in the toilet. You don't want to look at the toilet. At the top of the toilet, there's dust, right? I mean, there's trash on the floor. Buddy, how come you didn't do this? Clean the mirrors. Mom didn't ask me to do that. She asked me to clean the bathroom. See, to his standard, it was clean. You have to tell them what your standard is. How do you want it to look? What do you want done? So I take my happy little ass back down the stairs, sit in my home office on the computer, and I create checklists. Did you know that there are, let me go back here. Did you know that there are 11 steps to cleaning a toilet? In my house, there's 11 steps to cleaning a toilet. Oh, and I added, when I first did it, it was a restaurantexpert.com blank checklist. It said employee initials here, manager initials here. No kidding. And I added one more column. You'll notice on here, I added tools. I created mise en place for my son, because if you've seen a preteen clean, run upstairs, right? Oh, I need Windex. Run back downstairs, grab Windex, come up, spray. Oh crap, I need paper towels. Run down the stairs, run back up. Oh, need a toilet brush. Run up and down, up and down. So here's all the things you need. You need bathroom surface cleaner, scrub rags, long-handled scrub brush. Now look, one is the tank. Remove everything from the top of the tank, right? Right? Have you seen teenagers will dust around the books? You have to take it off. Now watch. Spray bathroom cleaner generously until 50% of all surfaces, top and 3 sides, are covered in foam. Did I say 50? Did I say 25%? Did I say 100%? No, I said 50%. Are you that detailed and clear? Look, step 3, with a scrub rag using pressure. No shit, you've got to actually, put a little muscle behind it, kid. Using pressure, start on the top and then on the 3 sides, scrub until you get to the bottom of the tank and all surfaces are clean and dry. Are you that specific and clear? If you come down here and we go to inside the bowl, I spray 50%, but step 7, using a toilet scrub brush, long handled, right, with a long handle, just under the top lip inside the bowl, scrubbing with pressure completely around while moving down until the brush is being pushed in and out of the drain. Are you kidding me? Right? Do I have to be that detailed and clear? Yes, you do. See, you want it done your way. All the way down to the bottom, when complete, the toilet outside should be shiny, smooth, free of smudges, water spots, any dirt. The inside of the bowl should be clean, show no water rings or any dirt in the drain. I am so specific and clear on what I want done. There's only one way to do it, and it's my way, and it's successfully. Oh, by the way, when I come up the stairs and I go check him out, he has this checklist. Do you know what I do? Oh, you need to fix that, you need to fix that. And there's no back talk. There's no, right? Because I was so specific and clear, he didn't do it. He knew what the job was, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. I came, checked on him, said, you missed that. There was no conflict. He did it. Are your checklists this detailed? No. That's why they don't work. When they are up for interpretation, right, they're going to get wrong. They're going to be done wrong. So we don't print them out for a week. We don't laminate them because we may learn that we're not detailed clear enough that we need to add some more detail to it. Now, got my checklist. What's that next step? My next step is we've got to make sure we've got systems for everything. Here's the easy stuff, right? Waste sheets, key item reports, make sure receiving procedures in place, checklist systems. We're checking our orders, stocking, we're using spill sheets, comp sheets, labor, master schedules, who can work, when, how many cooks I need, the AM, the PM, pre-shift meeting notes, guest policy, order forms, checklist stuff. Got to get this done. I can put this in place tomorrow. Well, I can't do this stuff if I don't have Restaurant 101 taken care of and I don't have checklists and cash controls because those details are getting missed. Next, phase 2, this is the basic stuff, some sales forecasts and budget targets. Making sure I have supply and order forms and purchase orders. I've got liquor, the same process. I've got schedules for weekly inventory, FIFO pricing. I've got food costs being calculated on a weekly basis. Labor systems for budgeting tell my managers how many hours and dollars they have to spend, and do's and don'ts on how to schedule, from the 7 must-dos to 13 steps. Manager checklist, manager log, sales logs, OSHA, 80/27 tip reporting, all this stuff taken care of. Now we go even further. Now you want to make real change in your business, having P&Ls by the 5th of the month, cash flow projections, budget variance reports. Recipe costing cards, I tell you that go first, but often you guys go, oh my gosh, they're so hard. Yeah, they're 40, 60 man hours of work. They're hard if you don't have the right systems. We've got one that can help you with that. Purchase allotment system. Making sure my chef or kitchen manager, my bar manager order on budget. Tackle my inventory turns, make sure I don't have too much product on the shelves. Prep systems. Mid-shift bar drawer audits. Making sure I have 2 FTEs more. Training systems for everything. And then you want to take your business to the next level, make real money, semi-monthly payroll, reconciling on a daily basis, dollars per labor hour worked, menu engineering for profits, analyzing your item-by-item sales mix report, actual, ideal, and budgeted, to sending dollar reports, to sending case reports, prime vendor agreements. All this has to be done. This is what the chains are doing, but you can't get there until you've got Restaurant 101 taken care of, checklist and cash controls. Now you're ready for all this. And each one of these things, there's a system, a process, a way. Whose way? Your way. Now, how do I start getting this done? I want to create a culture where the details matter. The people know what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. What is another benefit to that? How do I know when I change my culture? It's, understand this, you're going to tell an employee to do something 80 times. Do that. Do it this way. Do it this way 80 times. You're like, these people are idiots. Then you're going to get them down to 50. Then you're going to get them down to 30. You're never going to not have to. Maybe it's a dozen times a day. Hey, do it this way. Hey, do it this way. A dozen times, not 80. But you know you've made it is when one employee looks to the other and says, hey man, that's not how we do that here. That's when your culture works. Do you have those systems in place? Is that happening in your business? If not, understand that the next step is documenting your core values. What are your core values? Your core values are who you are as a person. They almost never change. They're who you are. If you're an honest person, like so sickening honest that somebody calls you a liar and you get pissed off, that's a core value. Yeah, honesty is not a core value. If you write down honesty and because you want people to think you're honest, but you're cheating the government, you're taking change from the change machine and not reporting it, that's not you. People can see through it. It's got to be authentic. Who you are as a person, visceral, deep down in your gut. Like that's who you are as a person. Core values. Well, each one of us have our core values. We just probably haven't documented them. They almost never change. If we have partners, we have to have shared core values because it's going to be very different. Well, when I document my core values and I put them in my business, I have managers making decisions based off my core values, not their own. And when they do, they'll never be in trouble. Will they make mistakes? Yes. They'll create coaching opportunities, but they'll never be in trouble. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say your core value is excellence. And let's say core values can be one word, they can be 9 words, they can be a dozen, they can be a phrase, don't matter. I like 5 to 7 words, really 5, 3 to 5. But let's say it's one word. And if you worked for me as an owner and I said my core value is excellence and I define it like this, we believe that it's not only our job, but our responsibility. Our job is to ensure we are the best. We do this by only buying the best ingredients and hiring and training only the best. We strive for 100% guest satisfaction. Our goal, our success in achieving excellence is measured one happy customer at a time. Holy crap. If you worked for me, if this was my core value, would you know what you want? What I want from you? Excellence. Can we hire crappy employees? No. Can we buy shitty product? No. We're going to be the best. Can I have customers leave here and be unhappy? No. I want 100% guest satisfaction. I want to hear there's a problem so I can fix it, not wait for it to get to Yelp and blow up my business. Right? That's what we're talking about here. So how do I use these core values in a day-to-day basis? Well, I train them. I'm going to post them. I'm going to train them. Let's say I train my managers on excellence. Now let's say, how do I use that? Let's say I've got a broadline distributor. Let's call it Cisco. Cisco's supposed to bring 50 specialty steaks today, right? 50 specialty steaks. And they're not on the truck. I've got a catering today. In fact, I'm on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, and we're having a board meeting here tonight in my restaurant, and we're bringing in specialty steaks. We're catering the event. Well, the manager sees that Cisco pulled up, looks for the 50 steaks. There's no steaks. Says, oh crap, no steaks. Calls up their marketing associate, says, dude, I know steaks. What do I do? Well, I can't hotshot them to you, so you'd have to go all the way to our distribution center. Well, that's an hour away. All of a sudden, what I'm thinking, that's 2.5 hour round trip by the time I get that done. I don't have time for that. I call up my secondary vendor, and they could be here at 4 o'clock, and it's 50 cents more a pound. 4 o'clock's too late. I got to have things prepped. The party, they're coming in. Guests are at 5. Or I go across the street to the grocery store and I get steaks. Well, so I walk across the street to the grocery store. That's the decision I make as a manager. That's what I want them to do. And I eyeball the counter and I say, hey, butcher, give me 50 of those. And I buy the cheapest steaks. You know, they're truck stop wafer thin. When you cook them, they curl up, right? I mean, ugh. Now, manager fixed the problem. You as the owner comes in. Now you're ready to brag and say, look, I'm on the board. This is my restaurant. I'm so excited. Party's being executed. You walk into the kitchen and you see steaks. Who bought this shit? What the hell's the problem? Da, 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 da. Manager comes over. Like, whoa, boss. Whoa. Cisco showed up. Steaks weren't there. I went through my decision-making process, went across the street. I got steaks. I fixed it. Pat on the back. Didn't I do a good job? And you lay into me. This is crap. Da, 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 da. Why? Because the core value is excellence, right? It is so far from excellence, it's unbelievable. So now let's take the same scenario. Cisco doesn't show up with 50 steaks, go through the same decision-making process, but I will go across the street and I say, hey, butcher, give me 50 of your best steaks, right? What do? You come back with Kobe beef, right? Unbelievable. So party's going off, owner walks in, middle of the party, here come the steaks and goes, holy shit, Kobe beef, grabs a paper bag, right? Hyperventilating, holy shit, Kobe beef, what the hell is this? Manager. Manager comes over, like, dude, what's up? Kobe, what the hell is this? Hey man, Cisco showed up, no steaks, ran through my decision-making process, went across the street, and I said to the butcher, based on our core values of excellence, give me only your best steaks. What are you going to do? Are you pissed off? You're like, holy shit, dude, let's talk about profitability, right? That manager will never be in trouble for making the right decision. They just made a wrong choice. Now I need to coach them about profitability. See, when your managers make decisions based off your core values, not their own, they will never be in trouble. So you've got to take the time to document them. So we've got checklists. Now we're into core values. What next? With detailed systems and great training, guess what? You get things done to your standard, your way. How is it that chain restaurants can have multiple locations and not have an owner in them? They impose their will without being there. They have systems, a process for everything, and then they hold people accountable. Well, how do I start to hold people accountable? First, I've got to delegate. Because as I told you at the beginning of this webinar, I couldn't do everything I teach you by myself. I don't care if you're a $350,000 pizza place or you're a $5 million fine dining steakhouse. There's too much to do. You've got to learn to delegate. You must have help. But understand that delegating is not abdication. Michael Gerber, The E-Myth Revisited, great book, you should read it, says that delegation is not abdication. Abdication is when you give something to somebody and say, fix it. So all too often in the restaurant business, we'll hire a chain restaurant manager in the independent world. We bring them in and say, oh my gosh, you worked for Applebee's, you worked for Chili's, you worked for Darden. Oh, you're going to be awesome for me. Fix it. Problem is, they don't know the systems. They know what they're supposed to do. They had somebody with an iron fist over them saying, do this. But they don't know the information behind the numbers. They never implemented the system, so they come to you and they fail. But let me be very clear. Delegation is not micromanagement. And all too often, managers think, why you keep checking on me? Why you keep checking on me? What is this? Why are you micromanaging me? That's not micromanagement. Micromanagement is you're an idiot. Give it to me. I got it. Right? When you don't let people think, when you don't let them make mistakes and do it on their own, that's micromanagement. But yes, there is follow-up and delegation. What I want to do now is give you my 5 critical steps to successful delegation. Now, I'm going to first insult your intelligence, and I'm going to read them to you, and then I'm going to give you an example. So here we go. Number 1, be specific and clear. Be specific and clear. What do you want done? 2, define success. What does it look like when it's completed? 3, let it go. But make sure they're milestones. We're checking in on it. 4, we have continued communication. Remember that example I gave you earlier? Great, show me, right? We're all from the state of Missouri. Why? What is Missouri? What's on their license plate? It's the show me state. And last but not least, recognition and reward. So it's be specific and clear, define success, let it go, continued communication, and recognition and reward. So let me walk you through this. Step 1, be specific and clear. Step 2, define success. Well, let's say you saw me speak somewhere and you know the importance of recipe costing cards. And you come home and you say, Chef, I need recipe costing cards, right? I need them. They're so important to my business, and you'd be right. I want them done by the end of the month. Well, Chef's thinking, frick, man, I can't get that all done in the end of the month. And you say, can you get them done? End of the month? Yep, no problem. Absolutely. End of the month comes, what happens? Chef, where are the recipe cards? Oh, I don't know. Excuse. Never started, never planned on it because that goal was not possible. So we start off, we say, hey, Chef, we're not going to let them fail. Chef, I need recipe costing cards. I'm so excited about it. They're so important. They're going to change our business from menu mix and ideal cost and engineering our menu and reducing the food cost by 3 points, just like that. I saw how this all works. I need this. We need this. I need recipe cards by the end of the month, okay? No. The new you, I want you to write this down. I want you to write this question down. I swear to goodness, grab a pen and paper. If you don't write this down, you're an idiot. Only kidding. No, you really are. Ready? The next question out of your mouth needs to be, is that reasonable? Hey, Chef, I need these done by the end of the month. Is that reasonable? Chef's going to go, well, thanks for asking. No, it's not reasonable. We have our busiest 2 months coming up with caterings, and I'm short a line cook. There's no way I can get this done in a month. All right, look, I understand. What do you think's reasonable? Can I have 3 months? All right, now you as an owner go, all right, no, I need these done faster. How about 2? Is that a compromise? Can we get that done? Yeah, I get that done. See, if you don't get buy-in from the beginning, they're going to fail to launch. So to express your expectations, ask if it's reasonable, and if it's not, see if there's any wiggle room. But remember, it's a democratic dictatorship. So we start that and we say, oh, by the way, let me be clear. When you're done, what happens? By recipe cost cards, I mean, I need you to document all the batch recipes first. Then I need you to put them into Smart Systems Pro, which means before you start this process, I need all products in, made usable. Then I want you to document the batch recipes, put them in so we can have the ingredients, the portion sizes to be used in our item recipes. Then I want you to go in the kitchen and verify when it says 5 ounces of French fries. Don't sit at table 22 and write down from memory 5 ounces of French fries. If we go in the kitchen on a slow day, say stop, weigh it, write it down. And they're putting out 6 ounces on a consistent basis. Write down 6 ounces because that's reality. I want you to document all those and come back to the system and put in all the recipe cards. By the way, I also want photographs so we can create build charts. And I want all product knowledge so we can create training cards for the front of house that they know if we use Vidalia onions, they're exceptionally sweet, come from one crop a year. They have that information that they're celiac or gluten or whatever it may be, all in a training card. So by the time we're finished, we're going to have 3 books. I'm going to have a recipe costing card for the cost, a recipe book, the how to cook, and a training card for all my front of house people to know the product knowledge. Am I clear? See, I told them what I want done and all the steps to get there. But I also said, when we're done, this is what it looks like. That's very different than I need recipe costing cards. That's a whole lot more. Then let it go. But just don't let it go completely. What we want to do is create milestones. Milestones for each step of the process. So for instance, hey, Chef, I need all the recipe cards done. We negotiated or we talked back and forth, said by the end of 2 months, told you what I want done. Let's set some milestones. How about first milestone is 5 recipe cards by this Friday? Is that reasonable? Well, yeah, man, I can do 5 recipe cards. Fantastic. It's really one a day for all intents and purposes. Great. Now, we set these milestones throughout the whole process. Now, the old you would see Chef on a Wednesday and say, Chef, how's everything going? How are those recipe cards? Chef's going to go, great. And you'd walk away. What do you think would happen on Friday? No recipe cards. You're pissed off again. Stop doing that. What do? We're all from the state of Missouri. We say, great, show me. Now you go find out that Chef doesn't know how to do recipe cards, was doing them improperly, and you need to retrain or train. Found out they never started. Got them all done, whatever it may be. I make sure that Chef gets it done. Let's say Chef didn't have any done with a great reasonable excuse. 2 cooks are down because they're sick with the flu. and you've got another catering, and you just couldn't possibly do it. There's nothing wrong with renegotiating. All right, how about we push the timeline back 1 week? Yeah, I can get that done. Great. But see, what you're doing is you're checking to make sure, ensuring that chef is going to get it done. And if chef needs help, you can get chef that help and not let him or her fail. Last but not least, when it's all done, recognition and reward. Whether it's a pat on the back and a genuine handshake and a thank you, or it's a bonus or whatever it may be, make sure you show them you appreciate it. So when you're talking about delegating, it's be specific and clear, define success, let it go, continue communication, recognition, and reward. Now what? I've got others helping, right? You have to have others help. And if you don't do this, you can't successfully delegate. Well, now what we need to do is we need to what? We need to understand that your job is to never let them fail. Your job is to delegate, inspect, verify, and coach. When your managers fail, owners, general managers, it's your damn fault. You didn't give them the training. You didn't clearly define your expectations. You were not clear in making sure they know what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when, and ensured they understood that in the first place. Instead, you lobbed something you want done, and when they fail, they fail. You can't hold someone accountable for something you didn't teach them to do. So, how do we hold them accountable? Well, we've got to have rules in place. I love this. People tell me my employees hate rules. I say bullshit. They love rules. Do you know what they hate? They hate management's inconsistency in enforcing those rules. Think about it. You might have a policy, man, all of us are all pissed off. Cell phones, right? Cell phones. No cell phones. And your employees on cell phones. Well, remember, there's the bully manager, and I've got the jellyfish, and I've got the head coach, the mentor. Let's say the jellyfish is working, and all my friends, right? That's the new manager, was a line employee just last week. All my friends who work there are on their cell phones. I don't say a word. Now, the bully manager comes in, next day, sees somebody on the cell phone. I was on my cell phone as an employee, yells at me, writes me up. I am so pissed off. Why? I'm pissed off that the manager who's following the rules wrote me up. Because when I work other shifts, the person who doesn't follow, the manager doesn't follow the rules, I got no problems. See, it's not that the rule is no cell phones. It's that I can use them some days and I can't use them other days, depending on who's working. See, your employees love rules. What they hate is the inconsistency of who's enforcing those, how we enforce those rules. So let's make sure we have that all in place. This cartoon is great. Everything was fine until you insisted on accountability. Here's the downside. To everything that I teach, all these systems, the realization is this. You may lose one or more of your best employees. Let me look you in the eye on this. You may lose one or more of your best employees when you embrace the systems I teach. Why? Because the good life's over, man. Right? I could do whatever I want. I was your star employee, which means I got to do whatever I want. I was just no longer your headache. You paid attention to the idiots. Well, now all of a sudden I say, hey, managers, I need you to do this. I raise the bar. And beware, your employees will reach as low as you set the bar. Your employees will reach as low as you set the bar. Want an example? Friday night, line cook calls off. You don't have enough time to bring a new line cook in. You're like, oh my gosh, we have record numbers of bookings, reservations. We've got big parties. We're going to be down a cook. You jump on the expo line and say, everybody, we got this. We know we're down a person. Let's get on our toes. Let's kick this out. The end of the shift, you had your ass kicked, but you had a flawless shift. Everybody was on their toes, got it done. You're like, woo, high fives, woo, we got it done. I got news for you. If you could do it that night with one less cook, you could do it every Friday night, right? So now all of a sudden we've got these managers we've asked to do nothing but babysit the idiots. Now we're throwing in budgets, and we're throwing key item reports, waste sheets, and we're recipe costing cards, and manager checklists, and the list goes on. Remember the 4-phase plan? Well, I start asking all these things, and I'm going to have somebody who says they don't want to do it. Here's what I want you to think about. If you implement what I'm asking you to put in place, one or more of your best employees who you thought were your best employees will quit or get fired. They don't like the change. So if they get fired, what is that? It's them asking you to help them quit. They don't have the stones to quit. They want to make you the big bad owner or manager. Oh my gosh, my GM fired me. That ass, blah, 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 blah. Talk bad about you. I got news for you. I don't know many employees that were actually fired from a job for doing a good job, right? You're not the bad guy. They chose not to do the job. And so it's okay. You want to have a meeting with all your employees and say, hey folks, we're so excited about this change. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how it benefits our guests. Here's how it benefits you. Here's how it benefits me and my family. I understand some of you may not like these changes. Change is hard. But I want and need every one of you to be a part of this change. But I understand that some of you may not like the change. You may quit or get fired. Right? But you're drawing a line in the sand. From this point, I'm going to train you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to make sure you're successful. But I need your help. But if you're not going to do it, you're not going to be here. And move forward. Understand, don't let one employee, 2, 3, 5, I don't care, a dozen employees tell you no, it can't be done in your business. Whose freaking business is it? Are you going to allow some people on your team, just because they worked for you for a long time, to hold you back from making the money you deserve and ensuring everyone has a job? Or are we going to let the no bird say, no, you understand, our restaurant's different. What do you mean you're different? You got people, you got customers, you got food, you got beverage. What do you serve with a limp? Does that make you different? You're kidding me, man. Right? There's nothing different about your business. But what's different is you need to lead the process. Just because you own a restaurant, I don't mean to offend anybody on this webinar, but just because you own a restaurant doesn't make you a leader. And every one of us is not a born leader, and it takes leadership to be successful. Guess what the systems do? They help you lead. Right? They ensure that the process is working. It ensures that you impose your will. Things are getting done your way. That's why we've got to have all these systems. That's why we've got to hold people accountable. Now, here is my definition of accountability. Now, accountability is not negative. I've redefined it. You're not going to find this in a dictionary. I created this. What does accountability mean? To me, it means answerability. It's the acknowledgement of responsibility for your obligations, decisions, and actions, and it's how you are answerable for the resulting consequences. Right? Your obligations, decisions, and actions, or inactions for that matter. So what are my obligations? They're my job. They're the list of expectations. What am I supposed to do on a day-to-day basis? I'm supposed to take inventory. I'm supposed to, on a weekly basis, I'm supposed to schedule on budget. I'm supposed to make sure we balance nightly, It's my job description. It's a list of everything I need to be done. Then what about decisions? Decisions I make. Am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? I know my obligations. I decide to do them or not. But ultimately, you are answerable for your actions or inactions. Actions are what you do as a result of your decisions, which are ultimately what you'll be answerable for. Right? I've trained you on how to take inventory. I've trained you on all the steps. Inventory means making sure all new products that we buy are input in the Smart Systems Pro made usable. They're assigned an inventory location and drag and dropped into their index position, meaning shelf to sheet. I make sure that all new batch recipes are on inventory and they're in the right way I want to do it, the way I see it, in the location, in the order I see it, in the first position by the case, in another place by the bag, on the line by the ounce or 6-ounce portion bags. I don't care. Count it the way I see it. And I know I want all this done on a daily basis, all invoices with new pricing put in. And so when I take inventory, I print it off on Sunday night. It is shelf to sheet ready, and I have to count it by the close of business day or before I open, but my policy is by close of Sunday. I need you to be in there Monday by noon. It needs to be put into Smart Systems Pro, check that it's accurate, and then by 1 o'clock, text message a GM or owner, I bless these numbers are accurate because I checked it. That's what taking inventory means, not just you take inventory. Now, I've trained you on all that. You've shown me you know how to do all that. And this Sunday, you just didn't do it. I don't care what freaking excuses come out of your mouth. You knew what your job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. Now it's my turn to hold you accountable, meaning I hold you answerable. There will be no conflict because I go, you've been doing this for the last 3 months. I'm going to write you up. Right? Is there conflict there? They know exactly what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. I delegated, I trained, I did all these things. I ensured the process was working because I double checked it. And it's not me, big bad GM or owner, bullying, going, I'm holding you accountable. No. It is what? It is me seeing that you did your job or you didn't. That's what we need to be successful, which means we need to have all these systems in place. We need to make sure everybody knows what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. So if I've got all these systems in place, I know how to delegate. How do I hold people accountable? Here are my 7 steps. Number 1, I got to have a job description. And for those of you who are sticking around when I'm finished here for the question and answer, I'm going to show you in a second, once I'm done with the next 2 slides, examples of each of these things and how they should operate in your business. First, I need a job description to clearly define what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. 2, I've got to have training systems. There's a system, a process, a way to doing things my way. Right or wrong, my way. Budgets. Because when I have a budget in place and I get to proactively manage my business. Hey, I'm running a 34% food cost. I need to run a 30%. What systems am I going to put in place to achieve that number? From recipe costing cards, item by item sales mix, menu engineering, waste sheets, key item reports, so on. I can proactively manage my business to a target for my profitability. Then I measure that with a budget variance report. Did we hit or miss? If I missed, what systems did my managers not use? If they used them, what new systems do I need to put in place to achieve the numbers I need to? 5, detailed checklist for all positions. And 6, view answerability as an opportunity to coach, not to punish, but to coach, to reteach. I'm going to walk you through each one of these in an example in just a second. For those of you who don't want to stick around for that, what do we cover? I covered why company culture is so important and how it starts with your core values, how we manage the expectations of our management team and get rid of common sense, how we properly delegate, and how we hold people accountable. What I want to do is, those of you who want to stick around, if you've got any questions, you need to be logged into your YouTube account, and you can type them in the chat box, and Greg Sauerback, my solutions coach, is grabbing them, and he's going to be sending them to me on my cell phone here in a message, because I can't see you right now. I'm just a little ahead of you, okay? So if you've got any questions, make sure you ask. I'm going to answer them for you in a second. Those of you who stick around, I'm going to show you how we go through those 7 steps. Now watch this. Our 7 steps started with number 1, a job description. So here's a job description. Here's a job description that we have in our training systems. This is for a server. Now at the top is all that BS, server must be courteous, blah, blah, helpful, blah, blah, take orders. That's what the job is. That's where most job descriptions stop. But look at the second bullet down. Maintains a positive attendance record by reporting to work for assigned shifts 10 minutes prior to scheduled time, switching and finding replacements for no more than 5% of scheduled shifts, following company time off and illness procedures, and having a 0% no-call, no-show record. Right? You're that specific and clear, aren't you? I'm going to scroll down further, and here we are. This bullet here, I'm going to highlight it. Conducts a first greet within 2 minutes after they are seated, takes orders if time permits, or informs the guest that he or she will return within 3 minutes to assist them. Are you that specific and clear? How about this next one? Takes food and beverage orders accurately for all tables and has less than 2% return of food to kitchen due to mistakes. Are you that specific and clear? Legibly, here we go, legibly completes guest checks, enters into the POS system following company procedures with 100% accuracy. This is the basis to what I hire you to, what I train you to, what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. How many times have I said this on this webinar? You see me speak, you spend any time with me, this is going to have nightmares of that statement, because that's how clear you need to be. Right? We scroll down. We've got all the expectations for everything we need done down to the job requirements. Do you have job descriptions like this? Right? We've got that in our training systems. Now, what about training systems? I told you that was the second bullet, training systems. Here we go. Here we've got something called our full service training system, digitally downloadable and included in our membership. But in this, we've got server manuals, 87 pages. It's got pictures on how to wash your hands step by step by step, 100% customizable, yours. Servers, hosts, bartenders, bussers, expediters, food runners, line cooks, dishwashers, All 8 positions done, ready to go. You just got to make small changes. There are tests. Because if you don't pass day 1 test, you don't get to day 2 to 3, and so on. Which means if you go through a 6-day server training program, and I go through in 10 because somebody liked my smile, are you a better server than me? No. We both know what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. But you invested in me, maybe you have a learning disability. Or I get to day 11, you go, David, you're out. You fire me before I do damage to your business when there's nobody around, right? A trainer above me. There's quick service. Quick service, counter person, lobby person, drive-through, expediter, line cook, delivery person. Oh, continue that. Let's go into management. Assuming you've gone through that, we've got a management training program with operations manual, management training programs for your MITs, your assistant managers, your general managers, with all the step-by-step ways to train. Do you have those things ready? These are digitally downloadable and included in our membership. What about budget targets? That was bullet number 3. I'm going to log into Budget Creator Pro, our online budget solution, which comes with membership. And look, I'm just going to go edit this one. Not going to go through step by step on how to create a budget. But look, I create a plan. Let me expand all. I know what the sales I'm going to be doing each month. I know what my sales mix is for my point of sale system, so that when I do a $128,000 a month, I know $104,000 of it is food. So I scroll down a little further. My food cost is 22%. Well, 22% times $104,000 says I'm going to use $23,000 in product. I go down, I set my labor targets, whether fixed like management salaries or variable like hourly management. I go down into my operating expenses. What is my rent? What is my equipment as a percentage of sales? I set up a template. I look where my prime cost is and so on. And then ultimately, I need a budget variance report where I can put in, I'll click on actuals. You can see that I've already pre-populated. Here's what my sales were. I did $1,000 less in sales, right? In food sales. Come down here, my target food cost is 22%, but I actually used $1,000 in product, not 17, and my food cost is a point higher, 22.98. I can see where I hit or missed. I can scroll all the way to the bottom, go through each of these things and see that the impact on my business was I didn't make $2,700 I was supposed to. Now guess what? I proactively change my budget for the next 11 months. I make small changes without giving up guest satisfaction and cutting product quality. Small changes that make up that $2,700 I was supposed to make. Do you have those systems in place? Now, I'm going to go over budget variance again when I go into the system. We talked about checklists. I showed you those. But what I want to do is talk about answerability, your opportunity to coach, holding people accountable, answerable. You got to have systems. So now I'm logging into Smart Systems Pro, and I'm only going to take about 5 more minutes of your time, and then I'm going to answer your questions. Make sure you type them in the chat window. Have to be logged into YouTube and use the chat function. And Greg Sauerback, my solution coach, is documenting them, and he's sending them to me on my cell phone here on a chat so that I can answer them for you. Here, ready? Owner, what's my job? Smart Systems Pro is a cloud-based system. It means as long as you have an iPad, a Droid, a tablet, a phone, don't care whose, internet connection, computer, web browser, you have access to your systems. What do you do? How do I hold people accountable? Well, I've got my daily paperwork. I make sure sales forecasts are in once a month, by the 20th this month for next month, so I know how many people to bring in, how much food to buy. Every single night, I make sure that we balance. So I go to my end of day report, my DSR. I'm just going to highlight one, open it up, and I can see what my overshort is on a nightly basis, whether I had any paid outs. Well, make sure my invoices are input on a daily basis. And when I do so, I come down here, I'm going to click open up. I'm going to go down to this Cisco. I make sure it's broken up by janitorial, paper, and food, because when I do food cost or budgeting for purchasing, this $1,500 invoice, all of it's not food. Only $1,000 of it. I come in and I check and see if I had any paid outs for the day. Go through the same process. By doing so, my next check is, are my managers purchasing food and beverage on budget? I've got my target for my budget for food cost. I've got all this information. Ultimately, this is called the purchase allotment system. If I'm ordering on the 13th for my next delivery date that I'm expecting here to get me to Tuesday, well, I come down here and you'll notice all the way to the right, I'm going to highlight it, I can spend $2,453. That's to be on budget. Well, I'm going to give my managers, if they did their daily paperwork, they know their budget for food, liquor, beer, wine, it's a different category, but this is for the chef. Well, chef places an order, or maybe they don't. What I do is I go to my ordering systems. I go to food, I go to my orders, and I, as the owner, before 3 o'clock, because I don't want that 4 o'clock call from my distributor going, hey, dude, you're going to place an order? Oh, order me what I ordered last week, because that's the most accurate order you ever place. I can see very quickly whether the orders have been placed or not. I can also see that it was on budget. Look at this. Here are all my orders for that day, different vendors. Ultimately, I come down here to my purchase allotment system range. I said it needed to get me to the 17th. When I do so, look at this. My order total for food was $2,591. My budget was $2,453. I am $400 over budget. Now, I, in my restaurant, allow my managers to have $500 more than what that says, so they can place the order. If they discover after placing the order that it's over budget, maybe they go back in and edit the order and say, maybe I can get by with 10 pounds of tilapia or whatever it may be, filet, right? Tilapia filet, or not. I go edit my order to find out where I can make changes that I'm not ordering too much product. Because what pays your bills, cash or profits? Cash. Cash is king. I've got systems to be able to hold them accountable. Well, I got my daily manager log, but what else? How about labor? Let's go to labor and we'll come back to purchasing. Are they scheduling in the system? Well, we start with a labor allotment system where by putting in a little information from your POS system, they know how many hours and dollars they have to spend to stay within budget. Well, then I go to my schedule variance, wrote the schedule, now have a budget, and I'm going to grab the schedule variance for the 9th. Look, owner, you're not doing the work. GM, you may not do the work, depending on how you are, but I can see that I'm 11 hours over scheduled in line cooks. What's my job as a kitchen manager or chef? Go edit my schedule, get that to 0. See, I can log in then and double check when schedules are ready to be posted. They don't post them. They wait for somebody in charge, like an owner or general manager responsible for budget, to go in to say line cooks and see that it's scheduled on budget, following the needs of the employee, needs of the business. If it's not, I say fix it. If it is, I highlight it all and I approve the schedules. Now my employees can see. What about tracking labor on a daily basis? Well, I'm going to go to my reverse labor system and I'm going to see so much. I'm going to go to this week and I'm going to use this as a labor control. And what do I see? Well, one, I want to see that my managers are putting in actual in and out times. I shouldn't see 11 o'clock. I should see 11:08. Because every minute worked is whose money? Yours. But do you know what else I'm going to see? I'm going to see that I originally scheduled 159 hours on Monday. We worked 158. My forecasted sales were 6,300. I did 66. Man, my manager did a good job. What if I had discovered that we had done, say, $5,000 in sales and we still worked 159 hours? It means nobody cut. So by looking at this, I can see the effect throughout the rest of the week. I can hold people accountable. Well, let's go back to our food and beverage systems. Recipe cards. Well, I need to make sure that recipe card's done on a daily basis, meaning my managers take the time to make sure if today's special is an all-American burger, that they can text me what it is, put it in the manager log, but I can log in and see that it was created. It's got pictures, it's got build charts, got everything, but more importantly, it's on budget. What else can I do? We already went through orders. What about inventories? Got to have inventories done every single Sunday or Monday morning to make sure I'm on budget. I can come in and see that they were done, they were completed, shelf-to-sheet inventory with all the right numbers. I can scroll all the way to the bottom and I can see what? I can see what my values are so I have accurate food cost. I can see if there's a problem. I can compare two inventories. What about, I told you key item reports, waste sheets. Key item reports hold people accountable, make sure we don't have theft. Well, I'm going to click on one of these And you see it's just a count sheet. It's how many I have in the beginning, how many prep. So in this case, if I had 10 started fillets and I prepped 25, it means I could sell 35. But I go to the POS system, we sold 20, but inventory should be 15, but I count 10. It shows me that there's a shortage and I've lost 31 bucks. I'm holding people accountable. What about waste sheets? To be proactive, to find out where we're making mistakes. Well, I come into the waste sheet here and I simply write down, or in this case, grab what was wasted and the reason why. I know how many dollars I'm off, and I can tell an owner what I did to make sure it doesn't happen again. You want to start to hold people accountable. Prep systems, right? To make sure we know what's done. All of this is here, right? Ultimately, what is the culmination of all this is going to my prime cost, going to my budget variance report, and I'm just going to pick 2 dates that I know I've got information in, 2nd through the 9th, because I want to do these weekly, and I can see where I hit or miss sales. I can see that I'm ahead of the game or behind on cost of goods sold. I'm ahead of the game or behind on labor. I can ultimately see where my prime cost is, where I budgeted, where I should be. You want accountability, you have to have these systems in place and the ability to easily control. Now, we're going to do question and answer here in just 1 second. I just want to finish up here and tell you a little bit about what you just saw. And that is the restaurantexpert.com. I started this over 13 years ago as a restaurant training coaching company. We're here to give you, the independent operator, the same systems and tools that chains use without losing your independence. We love our guests, we love our employees, but we are going to make money. And that membership starts with our online software called Smart Systems Pro. I just walked you through. It's a daily manager log with cash controls, online scheduling system with labor controls, complete food, beverage, merchandising systems, recipe cards, ordering, inventory, prep, key item reports, waste sheets, prep systems, and a budget variance report. You get that to run your business. It's cloud-based. Doesn't matter what you've got, we've got that for you. It comes with unlimited training support, meaning Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, call all you want, or click on the chat box. We're here to help. Free software training. We have weekly webinars to teach it, but we also have 2-day trainings live here in Phoenix, Arizona, free of charge. Bring as many people as you want, come as often as you like. We are here to help. You get access to me and one of my coaches to help you work on your business. We'll help you re-engineer your menu, find 3 to 7 points. We'll help you teach your manager cost of goods sold, walk you through a harassment problem, teach you, look through your numbers, help you become more profitable. You get an hour of my time or one of my coaches every single month. That's above and beyond the training support. You get all the training products. I have $8,000 of training products, such as the manager training programs, the full service, quick service, employee manuals, harassment prevention, you name it. It's digitally downloadable and included in your month-to-month membership. You also, on top of that, you get workshops, seminars, and live trainings. There are 2-day trainings for the software. 1-day take action seminars free of charge 4 times a year, you and a guest twice a year. You get to come to my 3-day workshop called How to Run a Profitable Restaurant from Soup to Nuts. Instead of $1,500 for you and a guest, it's the only thing you're going to pay me extra for. It's $375 for you and a guest. Our membership comes with no sign-up fee, no setup fee. It is month to month. You can literally call me up and break up things like we're dating in high school. David, it's me, it's not you. I don't give a damn. Give me 30 days notice, you're out. And oh, by the way, I should sell ShamWells. Wait, there's more. If you sign up, it says today, but literally in the next 30 days of watching this webinar, and you let Greg Sauerback, my solutions coach, know you watch this webinar, I'm going to give you a $4,800 value. That's our Smart Systems Pro Accelerator program, where we will meet, one of my training support team will meet with you and your managers on a weekly basis for 6 months. There will be no more excuses. I don't know what to do. I can't get my people to do it, whatever it may be. We will spoon feed you step by step by step to ensure you're successful and you get results. And what is your investment? It's only $347 a month. No sign-up fee, no setup fee. It is month to month. So if you want to learn more, I want you to call right now, Greg Sauerback at 1-877-457-6278, extension 1. or go to my website at therestaurantexpert.com, find our solutions, and scroll down to the bottom, and you'll learn everything you need. But call today, and Greg will help you. Now, I'm going to look at my phone. Now it's time for question and answer. And so let me look at the questions we have here. I've got a person here. Tonyan has a situation. I have a staff member who is supposed to be head of the kitchen, procurement and tracking cost of goods sold, in all translates to sales. That keeps defying any new rule sets. He is a family member, which has made it pretty much impossible to fire him for a family sentimental reasons. What do I do about it? Here's the deal. Look, do you know who I work with? Family restaurants, independents. We're going to say that we require everyone to do this. This is what the position requires. If I want the employee to be on the dole, and I have actually gone on a consult and told an owner to take his stepdaughter, continue to pay her, and kick her off the management team. If your heart is so big that and you want to be a social worker, God bless you, and you've got the money, do it. Otherwise, I will write this person up and hold them accountable to the job, because they're not a person, they're a position. I love the person, but the position requires these things done. So if you've trained them, you ensure they've got it, and they show you they've got it, and they show you absolute zero willingness to do it, you either fire them or you move them into a position where the owner says you want to pay them, great, but they're not going to hold the business back. You have to make the tough call, but it's tough to do if you don't have those things in place. And trust me, I've been there. Question, we have 5 locations. Any tips to keep all managers on the same page? Yeah. So one is we train them on the same systems. Using Smart Systems Pro, we can hold them accountable to the same systems. But I'm going to put one more piece out there that I think is great. They've got these free conference lines out there that you teleconferencing, and they've got free things like Skype where you can put everybody's face on a screen. You want to have monthly best practices meetings, whether you get them all together in a same room or we do this by Skype. You want everybody, you want to share policies and procedures that you've got coming down the pike, but you want one manager at each location once every month, one of them once a month, to teach something they're doing well in their business that everybody else should be doing. And then you got to follow up and hold accountable, right? Create a system, training, make sure it's there. Got another question here. I'm a sous chef for all our place. How do I hold a team accountable when my chef does not, without upsetting my chef? Man, that's a good question. How do you push shit uphill? I mean, that's really what we're talking about, right? Well, here's the deal. You have to sit down and ask what the expectations are of you. And you have to say, look, if I'm going to do this, do you have my back that you're going to make sure these things are done at the same time when I'm not here? Because if not, it does us no good. So this is your call, chef. Do you want these things done and done your way, which means I can't be made the bad guy and I'm the only one following the rules. Will you help me out with this? That's your best bet. Otherwise, you're going to have to get to a point where it may not be the place for you, or you got to go over their head and go to the GM and say, look, I'm not going to lose bonus money because my boss won't do the job. You got to decide politically. First thing I would do is go straight to the chef. Now, let me see. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be on today's webinar with me. I hope you found the insights I provided you valuable. This is one of the most powerful speeches I give all over the country. People pay me literally thousands of dollars to deliver it to the large groups. You have it for free. Why did I do that? Because I want to introduce you to the restaurantexpert.com and what we have, the solutions to help you hold your managers accountable, the training systems, the step-by-step, all the 4-phase plan. Everything is done and ready. Do know we're here to help you implement and make sure you get it done. I wish everybody the best. I hope you have a fantastic 2017. If you need help, give us a call, but dial right now. Let me put it back on the screen here. I want you to dial Greg Sauer back at 1-877-457-6278 at extension 106. He'll be happy to help. Thanks, everyone.